Hey, hi, my name is Chris. Every day I do a vlog for 1,000 days, and every day I talk about something uniquely different. So today I'm going to talk about, well, sometimes in life people just create situations, and after creating those situations, they make you look to be the bad guy when actually they're the instigators of it. Now, I know some people would call that narcissistic behavior, and it probably falls within the realms of that, and maybe there's some truth to that, but I've witnessed that in my life. I've witnessed it in my personal life. Yes, yeah, I think at some times or at some point we will experience that, where somebody creates this awful situation and they pretty much blame it on yourself. They take no accountability for it, and because they don't take any accountability for it, it just leaves a hole in that relationship, a hole in that situation, and you can't fill it because you're not the one who's caused it. You can't do anything about that, and this person's so damaged, maybe by childhood trauma, that they just leave it like that. And every time they do that, they damage the relationship, they erode it. Over time it becomes, I guess, a difficult prospect to remain in that. And I think people who do that, if they were to look at the core of why they do that, they would realize that it's based possibly on the fact that they've had this trauma in their lives, and they're used to maybe that kind of behavior shown to them. They're used to people behaving badly towards them, and the only way to sort of combat that is to replicate it. I always say, though, hurt people, and I think that's a reality. I think people who are hurt go on to hurt, whether knowingly or not, other people. It is a condition, or a human condition, that we all have. We all have the propensity, the capacity for hurt in other people. But I guess identifying that and knowing that what you're doing and stopping it before you do it, well, that takes fortitude. That takes a wise person to be able to commit to that. Narcissistic behavior, well, I guess over time we've all known people, haven't we? We've all been aware of people who've displayed that. Most of the time, though, you hear about it, it's normally, should we say, not all the time, but normally in a domestic setting. It can be a very, very annoying, disturbing, challenging thing to deal with. If you have that, then you have my utmost respect in dealing with it in a very kind, careful, passive way. But whether or not you choose to continue to accept that kind of behavior, well, I think that's pretty much up to you. What is acceptable, what is not acceptable? What might be acceptable to me may not be acceptable to you. It may be that you don't want that kind of behavior in your life, and the only way to eradicate that is to remove the person from your life. Do people recognize and recover from narcissistic behavior? I don't know is the short answer. I think it's part of the human psyche, the condition. We all have the propensity for it, but some people more than others. Some people are willing to create bad situations, bad atmospheres, and it's those bad atmospheres that can really leave its mark on you. And it needn't be physical. Obviously, if you're in a physical situation, then you've got to remove yourself from that as soon as possible. Protect yourself, protect others around you, and just do what you need to do. And that's vitally important for your safety and theirs. The thought of being subject to any of that is just horrible. So seek the counsel of other people, the advice, and do that. I would seriously do that. But just going back to people who behave in that horrible way, where they create a bad atmosphere, they say it's on you. They create this whole thing. Now, I've made no secret of the fact that I watch a show called Married at First Sight Australia, and it was shocking last night. Now, I don't know if it's down to the edit. I don't know if it's down to that. But there was somebody there last night who was such a narcissist, who was imposing their their thoughts and feelings on this other person, and they took no accountability, which I believe is a narcissist trait. They don't put a mirror up to their behaviour. They won't accept that their behaviour has drawn everything to this point. And I just watched and I learned from that behaviour. And when you're shown or put a mirror up to that kind of behaviour, you recognise the things in your life that you've experienced, and you recognise the damage that some people have. And I was looking at causations for some of these things, and one of the things can be childhood trauma, where it could be a woman's relationship with her father, for example, and she's had a fractious relationship with him, and as she's grown into adulthood, continued that fractious viewpoint, and that has had an impact on her. And for men, it could be something very similar. They've experienced, obviously, that as a child, and gone on to continue that behaviour. So there are certain behaviours, I think, in a relationship which are fundamentally unacceptable and acceptable. Now, if you are experiencing somebody who's created a situation and made you the offender in that, and they're alleging that they're victimised by your position, then that's untenable, I think, really. You've got to know in your heart of hearts, you've got to remove yourself from that situation. Take some primacy, act on it if you can. I say all these things like you could just do it like that, but life isn't like that, is it? It really isn't. It's challenging and difficult, because it may mean you've got property with them, you may have children with them, you may have so much that is intertwined in that relationship. And undoing that, unpitching that, means discomfort. It does. It means a challenge to get away from it. And if you can get away from it, well, you've got this. You've got peace. You've got relaxation. You've got the ability to do what you want when you want, away from being made a villain. And you don't want to be made a villain the rest of your life, because that can make you feel downtrodden. It can make you feel beaten down, and it can really challenge your worth, I think, as an individual. If you challenge their behaviour by saying that's unacceptable, I don't believe what you're saying, and if you can inwardly look at yourself honestly, with truth and honesty, have a mirror up to yourself and say, am I actually behaving like that? And if you firmly don't believe that you are, maybe ask other people, maybe seek the advice of other people, and ask what their opinion is of you and how you've presented for as long as they've known you. But we know it when we feel it. We know when somebody has contrived a situation and has made you the bad person, and they've made themselves the victim in that. That's just awful. And it's not fair. And that's why in relationships, you both should have an equal billing there, the ability to be able to communicate on a level where the both of you benefit from that. And I think there's probably not an awful lot of people that have that. And I saw a video the other day, a staggering statistic is that 80% of people want to get out of the relationships that they're in, and I just don't know how true all these statistics are. We have a government department in the UK here called the Office of National Statistics. I'm always skeptical of them, because how true are they? How accurate is it? But what I do know is that some of these things are based on human psychological conditions and effects and causations, and people do behave in certain ways. I get that. But I don't know how accurately they can put a number on things. I don't know how accurate that can be portrayed. But if somebody is behaving in a narcissistic way towards you, then the best advice is to remove that person, remove yourself, get rid of that horrible, pernicious behaviour, and step away. People just wanting to create a fictitious situation where you feature as the bad person in their story to make them look like a victim That's a narcissist. That's it, right there. So you've got to have joy, happiness, and warmth in your life. You've got to have it, because that's why we're here. We're here to enjoy this miracle of life. All of this is an absolute chance. 400 trillion to 1 are our chances of being a human being. You've earned the right to be here. You've earned the right to enjoy this life. You've earned the right to make the best of your life. So make it a good one. I'll be back tomorrow with a completely different video. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, will be awesome. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. See you then. Bye now.